Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into GC Live here on Gamecock Central. Jack Veltri and Kendall Smith joining you here, and we hope that you are all doing well, having a great day, having a great week. Hopefully things have improved from how I think a lot of us were feeling over the weekend. And by the way, we have Jack Veltri here, who has been like the most popular person.
Oh my God. It's been crazy. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a bit much. Honestly, I was not expecting that for simply just trying to do my job. But I guess a lot of people have been in support of the question I asked to Shane the other day. Which, if you've been living under a rock,
for those that don't know what we're talking about, why don't you give them a quick refresher of everything that happened and then your mindset about it, because your response on 107.5 The Game is also gaining a lot of traction as to why you said that you don't expect an apology.
No, I don't expect an apology. I don't want an apology. And I've moved on from it at this point, and Shane and I have interacted twice since then, and it's been normal. So but basically the premise of what happened was right after the game on Saturday, I asked Shane a fair question in my eyes of, do you feel like a change is needed to the play calling or to just the overall offensive scheme? And I couldn't really get the full question out because Shane said the infamous quote now of, "I made a change last week, Jack," which I understand is the what happened with Lonnie Teasley. So he just kind of gave a passionate response about if there's a change that's needed, he'll make it, et cetera, et cetera. And then I kind of just tried to ask, okay, what gives you hope with the offense? And then he just kind of cut me off and said, next question. And then he went back and said, what gives me hope? And went on a whole spiel. So, he wasn't very happy with it. But again, it's a fair question. And, a lot of the, people that have followed me on Twitter the last few days have been very supportive and stuff. So again, I'm not trying to drag this out any more than it already has been. Just providing a little bit extra clarity, since this is the first time you and I are talking about it since it happened. And again, I mentioned it on 107.5. I got no issue with it, how he responded. It's part of the business. It is what it is. I understand he's pissed. The team's pissed. I get it. It's a question that is going to ruffle feathers, and it had to be asked. That's just my opinion on it. Some people may not like that I asked the question, but honestly, I could care less. It's part of the job, and questions need to be asked, even the tough ones. And I don't like asking them. I like asking, fun, happier questions, but I tried to do that a little bit this week. But, sometimes you're just in tough situations, and in a season like this, it is what it is. You're hard pressed to find positivity, but moved on from it and ready to start talking about this game this week, Kendall. And
Jack is like, please leave the Oklahoma game in the past. I've talked about this so many times. And I totally get what you're saying, Jack. And I understand the frustration of the moment from Shane Beamer. I understand a lot was going through his head in that certain moment in time. And I also understand your point of not expecting an apology. I mean, that's an interaction that is naturally going to happen, most likely between a coach and a reporter, when you've been with each other for as long as you and Shane have been around each other. You've been covering him for quite some time now. So I respect you for asking the question, because I think a lot of people wanted to know the answer to that question. And I think you asked it in a very fair way. I also understand, Shane is frustrated in that moment, but a lot went on there. And Jack, I commend you for not sitting there and lamenting about it, right? Because Shane was upset in the moment and he had the reaction that he had. And you're not going to sit there and try to ask people to pity you for that or feel bad for you. And that's what I respect most about this. And I have to give you major kudos for that, because you took it to the chin. You moved on. You said, I don't expect an apology. I'm just doing my job. That's an interaction that's naturally going to happen. And I think that is so commendable, Jack. So hats off to you and the South Carolina J School, which you and I both went there together at the same time.
Representing proud.
Very, very proud of you. And one last note, and then we are leaving this in the past. Okay, we're not going to drag out this interaction like we did the LSU South Carolina game from 2024, where we never stopped talking about that. One last thing. Someone came up to me yesterday. I literally don't even remember who. It was in Charlotte. And someone came up to me and they said, yeah, I saw on Twitter there was this interaction between Shane and a reporter. And I was like, that is not just any reporter, ladies and gentlemen. That is my co-host on GC Live. That is Jack Veltri that you were talking about. Please identify him by his name, Jack Veltri. So
the now infamous Jack Veltri. It's
like what happened with Ben Portnoy. We've talked about this before at the Georgia game in 2021, I think. I think that game was in 2021, and South Carolina played at Georgia. It was a night game, not even close. And it was Shane's first year, I think.
It was.
And asked
I remember this.
About what made it so hard or something like that. I don't remember. I was at the game, though. Like, I was sitting next to Ben, essentially, when this was going on. This was a Zoom press conference because it was post-COVID. And I just remember Shane's answer was something about how they have so many 5 stars, and it went super viral, and everybody all over Twitter at the time was reposting it and commenting on it. So this is kind of giving me that similar vibe. But I love Shane, and I think the world of him and think he's awesome. I know in that moment he was super frustrated, and you were just trying to do your job, and that's it. So that's where we're going to leave it, everybody. And with that being said, Clint Hammond, thank you for sponsoring the show.
Yes. All right, we're moving on. Clint Hammond of CMG Home Loans is the guy to get in touch with if you are looking to buy a home potentially. Like, if you are thinking about it, go ahead and give our guy Clint a call. He will take you through that process step by step, because let's be honest, I haven't been through it, Kendall. I don't think you've been through it, but I can imagine it's quite a complicated process, just like everything in the adulting world. So if you're interested, give him a call, 803-422-6797. The NMLS number for him is 71597. Go to ClintHammond.com for more information. And he's been in the mortgage industry for more than 20 years now. Lifelong Gamecock fan, also a longtime supporter of GC Live and all of our GamecockCentral.com programs. He's the best. He's been with us for a very long time now as a sponsor. So you are in the right hands with a guy like Clint. So give him a call today at 803-422-6797, like I said, and all the info will be above us here on screen.
Thank you, Clint. As always, we appreciate you, and maybe one day Jack and I will work with you at some point in our lives to get going on the home buying process. That is a goal of mine. It's crazy how that kind of sneaks up on you, and you're like, oh, wow, like I should maybe start thinking about saving for a house. So anyways, we appreciate Clint and all that he does for the show. Jack, a lot of people they're sad, they're upset, and I completely understand why. This season has not gone to plan for South Carolina at all. And there's a comment here. For some reason, I'm not able to click the comments.
Which one is it here?
It's from Adam Ritter. This season reminds me of
Ritter.
Last year, yes. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It is reminiscent of that year in 2023 with Spencer Rattler's last year. He came back for another season. Everybody was really hyped up about it, feeling really good about the team and what they could do because there were quite a few returners, some new faces people were excited about. It was kind of similar to this year when you think about the excitement level and obviously knowing South Carolina had Lenora Sellers back this year. And both of the seasons, that one and then this one so far, have just not gone the way that people had hoped. And it's kind of been this like roller coaster ride over the last 3 or 4 years of, okay, you're feeling really good about the team and then you're not feeling so good. And there's been the highs and the lows. And obviously that comes with a lot of teams across the country and just the college football landscape that we deal with in today's world. But last week wasn't great for South Carolina. They take on Alabama this weekend, and it only will get harder as we move forward. We look ahead to Ole Miss and Texas A&M and just opponents that are tough and ranked and good, and it's not going to be easy. So I ask you the question now. I'm going to take your question and turn it around to you. What gives you hope for this team, Jack?
That is the buzzword.
$1 million question.
It has been the buzzword of the week. I think I've heard Shane use what gives me hope like 3 or 4 times now this week. What gives me hope? That is a fascinating question. Well, the schedule is brutal. Like you mentioned, you get number 4 Bama, this weekend. Number 8 Ole Miss on the road next week. And then you get a bye week, and then you get number 3 Texas A&M on the road on November 15th. Kendall, I mean, talk about a schedule that is as tough as any teams in the country. I mean, the toughest part about it is it's not like, okay, you lose all 3 of these games. Okay, you're still okay. You're not. You're out of a bowl game if you lose all these 3 games. So you're kind of backed up into a corner now where you don't have much breathing room, and you kind of have to figure out, okay, how are we going to at least win one of these games? Winning one on its own would be fantastic because that's a top 10 upset right there.
Right.
It keeps your bowl hopes alive. Honestly, you probably make a bowl game at the end of the year because I think you will be able to go out there and beat Coastal and Clemson. But I say all that because what gives me hope about that with this offense? This offense has not been good through 7 games. And I think at some point you kind of just are what you are. And something interesting that we talked to the coordinators today. I asked Mike Shule, I posted about this on the Insiders Forum, this question I asked Mike about how much thought goes into having Lenore Sellers run the football when the offense gets deep into the red zone. Because I asked that because there weren't any designed quarterback runs when Sellers in South Carolina made it to the red zone on Saturday against Oklahoma. There were 8 called plays, 6 of them were runs up the middle. So his response was, and this is a little bit of a lengthy one, but I'll just read it out. Quote, yeah, we do that. And he's a weapon, both running the football and throwing the ball. But you also don't necessarily want to run like he ran the ball, I think a couple times, 22 times, I think a couple games ago. And I don't know if that's the best thing for him. He's physical, he's tough, and all of that kind of stuff. But, yeah, you want to use him as a weapon. And when you do that, have a scheme up where it's not necessarily what you might have our normal running backs run. You want to have him run things that are just maybe a little bit, so to speak, cleaner. Those running backs are used for those dirty runs, so to speak, those ones where they just kind of got to kind of halfway run through somebody, so you don't want to do that for him. But there's different ways you can do that. There's quarterback draws, there's counters, there's outside runs, and then a couple of other ways, end quote. I bring that up because, and Tree Babalade mentioned something else, kind of, I'm paraphrasing on this one, but he mentioned something about how the offensive line wants to keep Lenoris upright and clean so that way he can go to the NFL, like that way he can be ready for the NFL draft and keep his draft stock up and stuff. I almost question, Kendall, is the offense and the play calling doing everything in its power to be at its best? And what I mean by that is, more specifically, are they using Lenore Sellers to his full capabilities to go out there and be efficient? I would say they are going to say they would try to, but I think it's kind of strange how that was brought up, because I feel like you would normally run Lenoris, and they do run Lenoris a bit, but I feel like maybe they're holding some of their punches with running Lenoris. I don't know. It's just a weird situation. I don't have any evidence necessarily to back that up besides what the players and coaches are saying, but just something interesting there that I think kind of gets lost in all this is, yeah, Lenoris didn't run the ball in the red zone at all, and if he is running the ball, I think that's when South Carolina is at its best offensively. And I think with the offense, to kind of round all this out, I know this is a long answer, but to kind of round it out, the offense, you have to get that going at some point. You have got to get those guys going because it's going to be tough to win football games against these teams that I just mentioned that can score 40-plus points on you. Even with this defense, I just don't see South Carolina doing that because we haven't seen it yet. Can it happen? Of course. We've seen it multiple times now in the last few years under Shane, where the coordinators aren't running the best offense and they're not doing anything offensively, and then boom, they just have a breakout game out of nowhere. Can it happen this year? I'm not sure. We haven't seen it all the way in. We haven't seen it at all, really. But I will tell you this, Kendall. Just hearing what they had to say about Lenoris this week, there's no reason why you should not be unleashing every single aspect of his game. There should be no limitations on running him at this point. There should be no limitations on anything that he does. You want to win a football game, 16's got to be at his best.
Mm-hmm. And there's been so many conversations that we've had, that other people have had, that fans have had about why they think this offense just can't get things going, and why they think it's been a little bit more of a struggle for Lenora Sellers this year, especially after last season. And we've talked about the offensive line. We've talked about the play calling. We've talked about conversations that we might not know about, and maybe they happened, maybe they didn't happen, about what Lenora Sellers is being told to do when it comes to running the football and making those decisions on his own. So there's a lot of speculation about it. And I don't know if we will ever 100% know the exact reason as to why the offense is performing the way that it is up until this point in the season. But it is interesting because and we've said this now for weeks, it just feels like LaNorris Sellers is not that same version of himself that he was last year. And obviously that is still there. We know that potential is there. We know he's capable of those things. But the question remains, why? And it's something we talk about every single week. And there are people that will say, oh, well, the offensive line isn't helping him too much. And so you get Sean Elliott to take over the offensive line. And I'm curious, Jack, let's talk about that for a second. Not everything can change instantly. And Sean Elliott had just taken over, but did you see anything from the offensive line that you felt was reason for Gamecock fans to feel a little better?
I think, and we'll address this comment here in a second, because I think it has to do with all the offensive issues right now. The one thing I will say about the O-line is, and it all goes back to what these guys – we spoke to 3 offensive linemen yesterday during media. They said they were still trying to find their identity, Kendall. And I think for you, when you hear that, is that concerning to you?
Yeah, that's concerning.
I mean, it's not ideal.
It's not ideal to hear when you're this far into the season.
No.
But I know that, in their defense, it has been like a whirlwind last couple of weeks. I understand.
A lot of injuries too, by the way.
A lot of injuries that they've had to deal with. So to find that cohesion has been difficult. And then obviously having a coaching change is not easy. Sean Elliott is someone they're familiar with, obviously. But that still takes a toll on you. A lot of them had really great relationships with Lonnie Teasley. And he did a great job recruiting and just creating bonds with these guys that they talked about openly. So that's tough. I will give them that. It has not been an easy year. So to say they haven't found their identity, I understand it's been hard to find that cohesion, but it is not great to hear that. I don't think you're hearing that from top 10 teams.
No, you're certainly not. And again, South Carolina's offensive line has definitely been a lot of different words you could use. Let's just go with not good. I think that's a pretty light term to use. They have not been good. Gave up 6 sacks the other day. A lot of tackles for loss. To be fair, not every single sack is on the offensive line. Sometimes it's a missed block by a running back or a tight end or something along those lines. But in any case, there's too much pressure in the backfield, and it's not giving LaNorris enough time to go out there and do his thing. It's not at all. And let's talk about this comment right here. Big Red comments, LaNorris sits in the pocket for too long. That's a recipe for disaster and getting him hurt, especially when people are keying in on him. Great comment here, because it's also part of the problem that I don't think everybody's ready to talk about. Not everyone wants to put the blame on 16. I get it. He's your star player. He's given us more than enough reason to give him the benefit of the doubt time in and time out. And I'm not saying come out here and let's blame LaNorris for everything. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, I think it's okay to admit that he is also has a hand in the issue that is going on with the offense in general. I think he does honestly hold on to the ball for too long. I don't think he gets rid of it when he needs to. I think he maybe takes sacks that, defenses are more aware of what he can do, Kendall, because last year it was his first year starting, and there was only a little bit of a sample size from his freshman year of what he could really do. The breaking out of the tackles and the breaking out of sacks, I have not seen a ton of that this year. We saw it on full display in the Kentucky game, I feel like, which is arguably his best overall game. But besides that, I feel like that's an aspect of his game that's been missing. And it kind of goes back to not having him run the football in the red zone. I feel like last year, if South Carolina were down in the red zone like they were, you would see the ball in his hands running the football down to the goal. I think of the first game last year, Old Dominion, where Carolina scores the go-ahead touchdown in that ugly game, and it's LaNorris running to the left, if memory serves me correct, on a QB run. I think you are in a much better position to have the ball in LaNorris's hands running the football than you are any running back or any other player on this team, because you trust and know what he can do. And I think you live with the results if it comes down to that. But at the end of the day, it's tough to win when there are so many different problems on offense. It's not just the blocking like I think it was 2 years ago and the injuries and all that. Because Spencer Rattler made it work. He was nearly a 4,000-yard passer. You want to know what Lenore Sellers' stats are this year? He's thrown for a little bit over 1,100 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His rushing numbers, which, again, I know the sacks are included in this, but the stats are what they are. 108 rushing yards, 1 touchdown this season. So he has not been the same player that he was last year. And it's not like the offensive line.
Was his rushing touchdown the first touchdown of the season?
Yeah, it was. And
Virginia Tech. See, that is crazy to me. I can't. Like, that is crazy to think about, that the first touchdown of the season, because I remember I called this. We had that conversation before the Virginia Tech game. Who do you think will score the first touchdown of the season for South Carolina? I said Lenore Sellers on an RPO. He did. And I remember texting you. I was like, oh, yeah, like, we're just getting started here. Like, this is
great.
This is going to be how it is.
That drive was methodical. It was so good.
Yeah, it was perfection. And I just feel like ever since that drive, like, that was a high point for sure. So, yeah, that's crazy to think about that touchdown coming in the first drive of the season.
Yeah,
and there hasn't been one since. And we know Lenoris is a quarterback that can utilize his legs, and it's a weapon for him. And it's hard to believe that this is kind of what it's been, because I remember also at the top of the season sitting there saying, I'm not worried about the offense. I'm a little bit more worried about where the defense filled in the gaps. We'll see with special teams too. I'm not worried about the offense, though.
Because the offense brought back so many pieces.
So many people. And
it's like you lost Rocket Sanders and you lost Josh Simon, 2 leading players at running or rushing or receiving. I get that for sure, Kendall, but you brought back so many key guys, and you brought in a few guys that you thought were going to make a big difference. Like, Rasul Faison's been fine. He's been all right. He hasn't been amazing. Not what you waited 8.5 months for him to be. Vandrevius Jacobs was doing great, but he's been nothing these past 2 weeks. I mean, he hasn't made much of an impact at all. Nick Harbor had a touchdown, but he hasn't been super, super impactful. So I don't know if it's underperforming, but the real problems I think we can just narrow it down to is Lenoris' decision-making has got to be better. The blocking's got to be better. The play calling is subject for criticism, I think, in a lot of ways. Yeah, it's 3 problems right there. Your running game isn't great. And that all goes back to the blocking, Kendall. So there's not one singular issue that can easily be fixed. It's multiple things that are causing this offense to be bottom of the SEC right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been the question we will talk about. We've talked about nonstop. We will continue to talk about until we see it get better. And it's sad. It is. And I understand the fans' frustration because there were high expectations there and they're just not being met. So anyways, on a lighter note, we have a couple more sponsors that have been great supporters of the show, Jack. And if you're like me and you like to go out and spend some money and shop, especially if South Carolina isn't winning football games, this is for you.
Yes. So more specifically, if you love golf, you need to go check out Palmetto Golf and Belts at palmettogolfing.com for the latest custom-made gear. Now, even if you don't play golf, Palmetto Golf and Belts is a great place to grab a gift for that favorite golfer in your life. As I mentioned at the beginning, they have custom-made gear as golf gloves, golf tees, golf towels, all available in the South Carolina Garnet, the cross design, the Palmetto tree and moon design, and so much more. One of the cooler things in the shop is the needlepoint belts, which are extremely well made, but also more affordable than any or many of the others on the market. Palmetto Golf and Belts is operated by Brandon Cohn, a big South Carolina fan and a longtime member over at GamecockCentral.com. Our members on the Insiders Forum are loving the products that Brandon has in his shop, and he runs special deals all the time. As I said, head on over to palmettogolfing.com today. Check out his shop, support a South Carolina fan and GamecockCentral.com member, and get yourself some fantastic gear. We also need to talk about already talked about Palmetto Golf and Belts. Excuse me. Ferry Chevrolet, our next sponsor. If you are a Gamecock fan out there who's interested in a new or even a used vehicle, make sure you check out our friends over at Ferry Chevrolet in Orangeburg, South Carolina. They're led by a fourth-generation dealer in Joseph Ferry. The family-owned business over at Ferry Chevrolet has been serving the community for nearly 100 years now, since 1926. It's conveniently located just off of I-26 between Columbia and Charleston. The folks over at Ferry Chevrolet are local, trustworthy, and always transparent. The business began in St. Matthews and was built on honesty, integrity, and a handshake, and they still operate with those same principles to this day. Head on over to ferrychevrolet.com today to check out their inventory and to get in touch.
Thank you to our sponsors. Okay, Jack, let's move on from talking about everything that we think is wrong and the not so good that's happened over the last couple of weeks. Talk about this weekend. That's why you play the game. There's always the opportunity to pull off an upset. And South Carolina welcomes Alabama to Williams-Brice Stadium. The last time they played Alabama at Willie B, we were in school. Were we freshmen?
2019 was the last time.
We were freshmen, yeah. Yes. Our freshman year.
Long time.
So it's been a second. It's been 6 years, and I'm laughing at the baseball questions. We'll get to that at the end. Don't worry. Our usual baseball talk.
That's some big news that happened in baseball today.
Crazy news.
We cannot go over that.
We have to discuss, because it does affect SEC baseball, and it's just like crazy to make the jump from SEC college baseball to being a manager of the San Francisco Giants. But anyways, I digress. Let's talk about Alabama, South Carolina. Big Red has a question. I can't click the questions.
Well, Big Red has a lot of questions.
Any chance against this Bama team coming into Williams-Brice? Their defense is much better than week one against Florida State. Yes, their defense is much better, A. And B, Ty Simpson has had the comeback of the century. Like, he started off the season and kind of like, this is Alabama's quarterback? Okay. And now it's like, Ty Simpson. Okay. Like, I stand corrected. At the beginning of the season, I didn't know if he was all that in a bag of chips. And now I'm like, you are. You are. He's playing very, very well. So this, again, we say it every week, okay? Like $1 for every time I say it, and you would be able to buy a full lunch on me. It's a hard team, and it won't be easy for South Carolina. Realistically, right now, realistically, there's always a chance. That's why you play. But it's not looking great if you just look at these two teams matching up together and how they compare.
Yeah, no. And to answer the question about is there any chance, I'm looking at ESPN's matchup predictor, Kendall. Take a guess at what % chance South Carolina has to win this game. I think you'll be kind of surprised, actually.
20?
Oh, like a little bit under. 17.8%. I thought it was going to be like
2.
No, like 5%, like 2.5% better. So no, I'm a little surprised.
5, okay, it's so different.
Yeah, 5 is so different.
Come on, I would give him 3 more %, Kendall.
Yes. So 17.8% chance to win this weekend. There is a chance. There's always a chance. I wonder. We always go back to. You remember how I mentioned earlier about how this has happened before, where nobody gives South Carolina a chance, and then they go out there and just shock everyone. It happened last year with the Alabama game when they were coming off the Ole Miss loss, the one that you were at, and they played terrible in. And then the next week they go out there, covered the spread on that game. It was like a 3-touchdown spread. Mm-hmm. And they go out there.
They had opportunities.
They had opportunities to win that game. They lost by 2. The most famous example is, I've brought up multiple times this week, is the Tennessee game from 3 years ago where Carolina looked awful against Florida, losing 38-6. Nobody gives them a chance, and then they go out there, somehow magically drop 63 points against Tennessee, a number 5 team in the country. So I bring that up because we've seen it before. I have not made my official staff pick prediction yet.
Oh.
I'm going to pick Alabama, but in my reasoning, I know I'm going to mention we've seen this story before where Carolina has had no expectations going into this game. Nobody gives them a chance, and then boom, they go out there and pull off something crazy or they even come close to winning. So,
well, this comment, we seem to only do well when we're an afterthought. I mean,
that's very
realistically,
true.
Alabama could be coming in and being like, okay, like let's just get through this one and like on to the next. Really, they could be thinking that. So it is true. We would talk about this with South Carolina is like, don't overlook these games. Don't over like when South Carolina was playing very well last season, it was always like, don't overlook the games that you might think you should just easily win, because that might not be the case this weekend. So we will see if we can get some of that 2010 vibe going again at Williams-Brice Stadium.
I think they're going to have, I don't know what the exact plan is, but I'm pretty sure they're having, I've seen Garcia tweet about it, that he'll be at the game on Saturday. I think they're doing some sort of, because it's the 15th year anniversary of that win over Bama at Willie B. I think they're doing something for it. I'm not sure what. Don't quote me on that. But, yeah, I mean, look, this weekend, I mean, nobody's giving them a chance, right? Kendall, you're not going to pick South Carolina, are you? As optimistic as you are.
Likely not. Because I had a really bad week in staff picks last week, so I need to get back on it.
Wait, you already made your pick for this game, but I know you didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I know you didn't pick.
I responded to you in like 1 minute, which I usually don't do. I saw it and I was like, oh, yes, I am responding immediately, because let me tell you all something. Okay, so we have a group chat and everybody's in it. And Jack loves to call people out by name if they don't answer his staff pick email that he sends on Sundays or Mondays every week. I think Mondays. And he'll send us staff picks. We're supposed to have them in by Thursday. If you don't have your staff pick in by the time Jack says, he will call you out by name. I don't have staff picks right now from Kendall and Wes.
I'm like a teacher. I gotta be like a teacher, Kendall. I gotta get these. in.
And we're like in detention for not. So this week I was like, I'm on top of it. As soon as I saw that email, and I didn't even write hardly anything for my description. Y'all will see it. Okay, it'll come out on Friday. Be on the lookout for that. And also, let me just answer this question from South Carolina Gamecocks football. No, Jack and I never dated.
No, we are just friends. We do have good chemistry, though. That is why we make a good team on this show. So
that is so funny. No, we never dated. Jack has a girlfriend, and we love her. She's great, and we've just always been good friends since we met each other, which would have been early on in college.
Years ago now. Here
so we are. Let's clear the air.
Yeah, let's clear the
we are friends. Just friends.
Okay.
What?
No, go ahead.
Jack's like, oh, this is awkward now. Why did you bring up that?
I know. I didn't think you were going to. I was like, oh, man.
Well, I might as well tell the people since they want to know.
We get some funky comments from time to time.
We do. I promise, just friends. Anyways, we got this weekend 3:30 South Carolina, Alabama, and it is like the crew. Like it is big broadcast vibes because it's Joe Tessitore and Jesse Palmer and Katie George, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that's a big crew. So it is a big one for South Carolina, and it's going to obviously, I mean, they're always on the national stage, but this is a primetime broadcast slot. So we'll see how they do. Jack and I will have Before the Sandstorm coming up on Saturday morning. So we will talk through a little bit more in depth, like these two teams, how they match up, how they compare. But before we get out of here today, we got to talk a little baseball and the big news. Okay, Tennessee's manager is gone. Their coach is gone, and he is now the manager, it was named, of the San Francisco Giants, which is crazy. Like, how does that change the landscape? And that could bring up like a whole other conversation I wanted to have, because Chris Clark wrote a really good article about the pressure that is on college football coaches. It's a premium article over on 3, Gamecock Central. Go check it out. It's really good. But it's just interesting to see, even in like the college baseball world, this shift. I mean, it's not like all too common to see a head baseball coach in college make the jump. Not like he's not the AAA manager. He's not the AA manager. No, he is the manager of the San Francisco Giants.
This has never happened before, Kendall. This is unprecedented territory. And Kendall's talking about Tony Vitello, who is responsible for turning around a program. It's hard to think of what Tennessee was 10, 15 years ago. I mean, they are not the baseball program that you know them as now. And I know for South Carolina fans, this is a moment to rejoice because Tony Vitello has done very well against the Gamecocks. in the past. Obviously, they swept South Carolina earlier this year, won the national championship 2 seasons ago, and it's a game-changing move. And I'm very curious to see how this works out because it's unprecedented. We've never seen anything like this, Kendall, where you see a college manager with no experience coaching at the professional level. He's only ever coached in college, Arkansas, TCU, most notably Tennessee since 2018. It's crazy to think that this is happening, but I think he's the right guy to go in there. And Buster Posey's got something cooking in San Francisco, and I think it would be interesting to see how this works out because it's such a crazy move. Now,
it really is.
Now, people are probably wondering, okay, what does this mean for Tennessee now? Like, when he leaves, is that going to change how the program is in general? I don't think so, because covering the coaching search with Maneri last summer, you learned about Josh Elander, who, if you don't know who that guy is, he's essentially Tony's right-hand man on the Tennessee baseball coaching staff. He's the recruiting coordinator. He's, I believe, also the hitting coach for Tennessee, something along those lines. He's been with Tennessee as long as Vitello has, and that's the guy that all the players seemingly want to be the next head coach. And I think that would be the smoothest transition in order for Tennessee to have success this year. So just because Vitello's gone does not mean Tennessee is going to be much easier this year. I can't remember if South Carolina plays them this upcoming season. I'm going to take a quick look.
Well, Jack looks. I will speak to this too. I mean, I'm so curious and fascinated to see how this goes. Tony Vitello is a great coach, and we know this. He's obviously brought a ton of success to Tennessee, and he's seen success across his career. There is a big difference, though, between coaching college students and college athletes and coaching professional athletes. And so I'm very curious to see how this all goes, because I trust the process. Buster Posey is a legend. I trust the process, and I'm just as excited as anybody to watch this play out. We'll see, though, like it is a different game. Like, and they talk about it from college football to, NFL, when coaches go to the NFL, Nick Saban being a prime example. It is such a different landscape, and it's different. Now it's more similar because players are getting paid with NIL, but it's different in the sense of, I would say, like, you're not coaching the same type of players, not only talent wise, but just expectation wise. It's totally different. And he's going to have to decide what kind of manager he wants to be at the professional level. Obviously, he had a really good relationship with a lot of his Tennessee guys. He'll still have that, I'm sure, with a lot of these guys in the Giants. But do you want to be more hands-on, kind of like you have to be in college, where you're really super holding them accountable? Or do you want to be more of kind of their friend, their buddy? Or do you want to be more hands-off and let them do their thing and come in when they need it? Like, there's going to be a lot of adjustments that are going to have to be made with this. I can't wait. Like, I cannot wait for this to be a thing, because I want to see how it all works out. I'm so fascinated. I work in professional baseball, so I'm so fascinated to see what that dynamic will look like. And again, it's not minor league level that he will be the manager of the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, and he's also, South Carolina's not playing Tennessee next year in baseball, so maybe that's for the best. Having to go back out to Rocky Top sounds like a nightmare for South Carolina right now, but it's going to be interesting. I think Tennessee will be fine, but I am curious because the Giants have not been great in the last few years. Definitely underperforming. And you're right. It's much different because you're not coaching 18 to 22-year-olds. You're coaching guys that – Tony's only 47. You're coaching guys that maybe are less than 10 years younger than you. Like Buster Posey is about the same age or not even close to the same age. Like, he's younger than Tony V, only by a few years, and a few years removed from his playing days. So the Giants are definitely going younger with their front office and coaching hires and stuff. But I will be interested to see what does actually happen because don't think Tony's not going to try to bring his boys from Tennessee with him to the Giants. I mean, I would wonder what would happen if he brought his full coaching staff to San Francisco, because it's October. Like, you're not going out there and hiring the top flight candidate in the coaching search realm. I mean, you're hiring hopefully someone inside the building, or finding someone that is just not coaching right now. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, but definitely wanted to touch on that news because how can we not talk about it? Like, I don't care if you guys don't like to talk about baseball. We do. It's our show. And South Carolina football, quite frankly, has not given us a ton to rave about lately. So we're going to talk about this, and it's crazy.
Yes, that is too funny, Jack. Yeah, I mean, it's huge news. And if, we talk about sports on this show, this is going to be one of the biggest sports stories of the week, hands down. And it'll be something that will continue to be talked about. I'm curious, Jack, before we leave, as we stay on the topic of Major League Baseball, World Series, what do we got? Jays or the Dodgers?
Let's lock it in. I've got the Dodgers winning the series. I just think they're a really good team. I mean, the Blue Jays are too. I know that watching them firsthand. But the Dodgers, I mean, Shohei Ohtani having the greatest performance I've ever seen in a postseason game. 3 homers, 10 strikeouts on the mound. I mean,
insane. Why didn't he have that performance when I was there? When I was in LA, they lost 8-2 to the Phillies. They could have clinched to go to the NLCS that game, and they did not play well.
No, they didn't.
So, of course, that was not – I was like, every time Shohei was batting, I was like literally videoing it. I was so ready. Nothing ended up happening. I will say I love George Springer. What a story. Like, oh, my gosh, love him. Like, I'm a fan. I don't care who wins. I just want good baseball. I don't care. I want to see this go 7 games. Give me some good baseball. Like, I don't like it when baseball season ends. So let's go 7 games. Let's make it a thing. What a series between the Mariners and the Blue Jays. I have been loving this postseason, by the way. Like, I think it's been good. So much fun to watch. Obviously, the Mariners-Tigers series was crazy. Like, it's just there's been so much that has made this so fun to watch. So I've enjoyed it. I don't care who wins, to be honest with you. I just want good baseball. It doesn't matter to me.
So give a prediction. I got Dodgers in 6.
Oh, I'm going to go the Dodgers. Yeah. I mean, they're just so good. They're so good. And at the beginning of the season, everybody was saying the Dodgers too, and I agreed with that. Like, you can't go against the Dodgers when you look at we always talk Shohei Ohtani, but everybody else that's part of that team is really, really good too. And so it's just a very, very talented group. And I think it'll be LA in 6.
There we go. Dodgers in 6. You heard it here from me and Kendall. So
yeah, let's go LA in 6. Okay, everybody. Thank you. Jack's hockey team, they are not doing well.
What are you talking about? Don't you dare. Don't disrespect. I
like the Islanders. I have no beef with the Islanders.
Yeah.
You have beef with the Hurricanes and the Panthers.
For your information, Miss Smith, the Islanders have won 3 games in a row. So I don't want to hear any of this nonsense. We talked last week. The Islanders were in a completely different world last week. But they have turned it around since then, and they're playing better right now. So, yeah, don't give me this, oh, yeah, how about my hockey team? How's your hockey team doing?
Good. The Charlotte Checkers just won their 2 games last weekend, so very well, actually. No, the Hurricanes were undefeated until they lost to Vegas earlier in the weekend.
Not really.
Florida. Florida's going to dominate.
Not really a good comeback by me there, but.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show. We appreciate you. Happy Wednesday. For Jack Veltri, I'm Kendall Smith. This has been GC Live. We'll see you for Before the Sandstorm this Saturday. Bye.